Welcome to our December deep dive into Microsoft's Patch Tuesday releases.
Oh, yes.
It's the final one of the year.
That's right.
And they definitely did not disappoint.
No, they did not.
We've got quite a few CVEs and KB articles to cover for Windows 10 and 11 and Edge Chromium.
We do.
Joining me today is a fellow expert in Microsoft System Administration.
That's right.
And patching.
Yes, patching.
So we're here to break down the most impactful vulnerabilities and help you prioritize your patching efforts.
Exactly. And get everything done before the holiday season.
Before the holiday season, yeah.
It's great to be here.
Wonderful.
Let's dive in.
Okay, let's unpack these remote code execution vulnerabilities.
Sounds good.
We've got 3 that require immediate attention this month.
Okay.
CVE 2024-49127.
Oh.
CVE 2024-49126.
All right.
And CVE 2024-49124.
Those are some big ones.
Yeah, so these are all high-impact vulnerabilities that could allow an attacker to take control of a system remotely.
Complete control remotely, yeah. So definitely some scary ones.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at them.
Let's start with CVE 2024-49127.
Yeah.
This one affects the Windows Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, or LDAP.
Yes, LDAP, most enterprises use it.
Exactly. And this vulnerability allows an unauthenticated attacker to send specially crafted requests to a vulnerable LDAP server.
Right. So that's a problem because if exploitation is successful, an attacker could execute code with system account privileges.
Oh, wow. So they have full control of that machine.
If they can get in, yeah, that's the worst case scenario.
That's concerning given how prevalent LDAP is.
Definitely.
All right, how about CVE 2024-49126?
Okay.
This one targets the Local Security Authority Subsystem Service.
LSAS.
Or LSAS.
Yeah.
So this one exploits a use-after-free condition and improper memory management in LSAS.
Right. LSAS is a pretty important component. It's used for Windows authentication.
It is.
But with this vulnerability, an attacker could execute code remotely without any privileges or user interaction.
So essentially, an attacker could gain control over a system just by being on the same network.
Pretty much.
That's scary.
It is.
That brings us to CVE 2024-49124, which also impacts LDAP, but specifically targets the LDAP client.
That's right. So even if you've got your server patched, you still got to worry about the client.
Right.
This one stems from a race condition, which could lead to code execution in the context of the system account.
Wow. So we've got 3 different attack vectors.
Yeah.
All leading to potential remote system takeovers.
That's right.
What stands out to you about these specific vulnerabilities?
Well, what's really concerning is they all leverage common protocols and services.
Right.
LDAP, LSAS, things like that, that are integral to many Windows networks.
Right.
It really highlights the importance of prompt patching, especially with the holidays coming up.
Absolutely.
A lot of companies will be down for a week or two, and attackers love to take advantage of that.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So let's move on and talk about elevation of privilege vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Now, while these aren't as alarming as remote code execution vulnerabilities, they could be just as damaging.
Oh, absolutely.
If they're exploited.
Yeah, if an attacker is already on your system,
Exactly.
they can use these vulnerabilities to do a lot more damage.
Yep. We have 3 to talk about. CVE 2024-49138.
Okay.
CVE 2024-49093.
Right.
And CVE 2024-491CDC.
3 more.
So these really highlight the importance of having a defense in-depth approach to your security.
That's right. Multiple layers of security.
Absolutely.
So you're not relying on just one thing.
Right.
Let's start with CVE 2024-49138.
Okay.
This one affects the common log file system driver and exploits a heap-based buffer overflow to gain system privileges.
And what makes this one particularly worrisome is the low attack complexity.
Yes. Very easy for an attacker to exploit.
It's relatively easy for them to do so.
Which means we got to get this patched quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on to CVE 2024-49093.
Okay.
This vulnerability affects the resilient file system, or REFS.
Okay.
Attackers can exploit specially crafted applications to gain system privileges.
So this requires a little bit more sophistication on the attacker's part.
A little more, yeah. They need to get that malicious application on the system somehow.
Right, but the impact is significant.
Oh, absolutely. If they succeed, you're in trouble.
And finally, we have CDE 2024-49117.
All right.
This one affects Hyper-V.
Hyper-V. Yeah, a lot of folks use that for virtualization.
They do.
This one allows an attacker who has already compromised a guest VM to send malicious file operation requests to the host server.
So essentially, they're breaking out of the virtual machine.
Escaping the VM, exactly.
And taking control of the physical host server.
That's right. It's a significant escalation of privileges.
It is.
Definitely want to get that one patched.
Absolutely. So let's shift our focus to the denial of service vulnerability.
Okay.
CVE 2024-49121.
Right.
This one again targets LDP and involves a NYL pointer dereference.
Right. LDAP, again, so important to patch.
Yeah, so attackers can leverage this to disrupt LDAP services, potentially leading to operational disruptions.
Yep. A denial of service attack can take down critical systems.
So this emphasizes that security is not just about preventing data breaches.
No, it's also about ensuring system and service availability.
That's a good point. We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Are there any other points you'd like to raise before we move on to the KB articles?
Just to reiterate, these vulnerabilities really highlight how interconnected the various Windows components are.
Right.
And how a single weakness can have a ripple effect across the entire system.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's not just about looking at the individual patches.
Nope.
It's about understanding how all these vulnerabilities are interconnected.
Exactly.
And applying the updates strategically.
Right.
So let's transition to the KB articles that address these vulnerabilities.
Sounds good.
And talk about how to prioritize our patching efforts.
Let's do it. Welcome back.
Let's delve into those KB articles
that
address these vulnerabilities.
And how they relate to Windows 10 and 11.
Right. And Edge Chromium.
Of course.
So, we know many organizations want to complete their patching before the holidays.
Yes. Definitely a good goal.
So let's help prioritize.
Absolutely.
First and foremost.
Yes, the big one.
KB 504-8794.
This one is crucial for Windows 11.
Okay.
It patches a bunch of critical RCE vulnerabilities.
So it's taking care of those LDAT and LSAS issues.
It is.
That we just talked about.
You got it.
So KB 504-8794.
Yep.
Must have.
Especially if you're on Windows 11.
But Windows 11.
Yeah.
What else?
Let's see. We've also got KB 504-8667.
Okay.
Another key update for Windows 11.
Right.
It addresses a whole bunch of vulnerabilities.
Mm-hmm.
More remote code execution. Some elevation of privilege issues.
So 2 important updates already for Windows 11.
Yes, very important.
What about Windows 10 users?
Ah, yes, good point.
What should they be focusing on?
KB 504-8652.
KB 504-8652.
That's the critical update for Windows 10.
Okay.
Takes care of a whole range of vulnerabilities.
Including those remote code execution flaws.
Yes, definitely.
Wow. And elevation of privilege issues.
It does, that we just discussed.
Slot packed into that one.
Okay, so we've got our big 3.
The big 3.
504-8794.
Yep.
504-8667 for Windows 11.
Mm-hmm.
And 504-8652 for Windows 10.
Yes.
Any other KBs you want to flag for our listeners?
There is one more KB 504-8685.
Okay.
This one is also for Windows 11.
Okay. Another Windows 11.
It takes care of several RCE vulnerabilities.
Similar to.
Kind of like KB 504-8794.
Okay.
So it's always good to be as up-to-date as possible.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so let's discuss some of the maybe not so severe vulnerabilities.
Yeah, the ones that are rated important.
As the critical ones, but still worth addressing.
Right, still got to patch them.
So let's start with CVE 2024-49132.
Okay.
And CVE 2024-49123.
All right.
Both of these affect Windows Remote Desktop Services.
RDS, yes, a lot of organizations rely on that.
They do.
These 2 are both rated important rather than critical.
So why is that?
Well, they both could lead to remote code execution, but they're not critical.
But the attack complexity is higher.
Okay, so it takes a bit more effort.
Yeah, more effort, more expertise.
For the attacker.
Exactly. So widespread exploitation is less likely.
That's good news.
It is.
Okay, let's move on to CVE 2024-49122.
All right.
This one affects Microsoft message queuing.
MSMQ.
MSMQ.
Okay.
So this one is also rated important, and it could lead to remote code execution.
It could.
But the root cause is a use after free condition.
Right. And similar to the RDS vulnerabilities, exploiting it involves winning a race condition.
So again, the complexity of the attack.
It reduces the likelihood of widespread exploitation.
Now, which KB articles address these?
So the ones we already mentioned.
Okay.
KB 504-8794 for Windows 11 and KB 504-8652 for Windows 10.
Great.
They actually address these as part of their broader scope.
So even though these specific vulnerabilities might not be the top priority,
right,
the KBs that address them are...
They're essential for overall system security.
So they're still very important.
Yeah. Very important, yes.
You mentioned you had one more vulnerability you wanted to highlight.
Oh, yes. I almost forgot.
Before we move on?
CVE 2024-49074.
Okay.
This one is critical.
Critical.
It's an elevation of privilege vulnerability.
Okay.
In the Windows kernel mode driver.
Oh, so that's not good.
No, it's not. If it's exploited, an attacker could gain system privileges.
And this one is addressed by
KB5048652.
to Windows 10.
Yes, for Windows 10.
Again, reinforcing the importance of those key KB articles.
Definitely.
So now that we've covered both the critical and important vulnerabilities and the KBs that address them,
we've covered a lot.
Any final thoughts on prioritization?
Well, I would say prioritize based on the severity of the vulnerability and the potential impact. Think about your organization's specific threat landscape.
Right.
What are the biggest risks that you're facing?
Okay.
And remember, patching is ongoing.
Yes, it's not a one-time thing.
No, it's not. New vulnerabilities pop up all the time.
Right.
You gotta stay informed.
Absolutely.
Maintain a proactive security posture.
Very good points. Welcome back to our December Patch Tuesday Deep Dive.
All right, so
We've covered all the critical vulnerabilities, the important ones, corresponding KB articles.
all the KBs.
Now let's discuss how to actually implement these patches effectively.
Right, because patch management,
It can be pretty complex,
oh, it definitely can be.
especially for larger organizations.
Especially if you've got a diverse IT environment.
So where do we even begin?
Well, first, you need a really good understanding of your IT assets.
Okay, so we need to know what we have.
Exactly. You need a complete inventory,
Okay.
all your systems, operating systems, applications.
What needs patching?
You can't protect what you don't know you have.
Makes sense.
So once you've got that inventory, then you can start prioritizing your patching efforts.
All right, so we don't need to do everything at once.
No, not at all. Focus on what's most critical, mission-critical systems.
Okay.
Systems that handle sensitive data.
Where a compromise would be the worst.
Exactly. You got to take a risk-based approach.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. And don't forget about testing.
Right.
You don't want to just deploy these patches without testing them.
Because they can cause problems sometimes.
They can introduce unexpected issues.
Right.
So test them in a controlled environment first.
So we can fix those problems before they impact our production systems.
Exactly. It's all about being proactive.
Minimizing those disruptions.
And ensuring a smooth patching process.
So we've talked about inventory.
Yep.
Prioritization. Testing.
What else?
What other best practices should organizations keep in mind?
Communication is really important.
Okay. Keeping users informed.
Exactly. Let them know what's going on.
Like what the schedule is.
The schedule, any potential downtime.
How to report issues.
All that stuff.
So transparency
Is key.
helps manage those user expectations.
And it reduces resistance to patching.
Because no one likes surprises.
No one likes surprises.
And remember, patching is not a one-time event.
Nope. It's ongoing.
Got to stay vigilant.
New vulnerabilities come out all the time.
Right.
So establish a process for continuous monitoring, assessment, and deployment.
So it's about maintaining that proactive security posture.
You got it.
And are there tools
Oh, yeah, definitely.
that can help?
There are a lot of great automation tools out there. They
Right.
can help streamline vulnerability scanning
All right.
and patch deployment.
So it takes some of the manual work out of it.
It does, and it also reduces the risk of human error.
That's really good.
Yeah, automation is your friend.
Any final thoughts?
Just remember, timely patching is your first line of defense.
Right.
The longer you wait,
The more vulnerable you are.
exactly, you're just giving attackers more time to exploit those vulnerabilities.
So stay informed.
Yep.
Prioritize. And implement a really robust patch management strategy.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Wonderful. Well, from both of us, we wish you a very safe and happy holiday season.
Happy holidays!
Thanks for joining us for this December Patch Tuesday Deep Dive.